With Tennessee's defense being so good in 2024, is that going to propel Tim Banks into a head coaching gig sooner rather than later? That, more conversation on your 2024 Tennessee Volunteers right now on a Friday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols here to end your work week, the official, unofficial start to your tailgating weekend right here, talking Tennessee football, and I'm your host, Derek Kane. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. Shout out every dayers for making the show what it is. You guys know it. We are free and available literally wherever you get your podcasts. So subscribe to us, download these shows on audio platforms, subscribe on YouTube. That's how the show continues to grow. So I really, really do appreciate that. Okay, we got a fun show to get into today. I found an article that was kind of interesting, not just because of the Tennessee name that's on that list, but also some Tennessee connections that are on these lists. It's ESPN put out an article the other day talking about assistant coaches that we should be watching out for to get that next big job. So I kind of wanted to talk about that and kind of discuss why this person's name is on that list. And I think we know who we're talking about here. And then we'll get into Boogie Bentley in segments 2 and 3 from Locked On, or we call it Locked On Talking Vols, from the Talking Vols Network, kind of recapping everything Tennessee through 4 weeks of the season. And we'll get back into game week prep for Arkansas coming up on a Monday show. So I do want to give a shout out to FanDuel Sportsbook for being a part of the show today. Place your first $5 bet, and you're going to get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com. Okay, so you go over to ESPN.com, and I've used the crap out of ESPN this week. I used it for 2 articles yesterday. I'm using it for 1 article today, but ESPN loves them some Tennessee, and from a programming standpoint and from a writing standpoint on a website and all that, you know, everybody's like, oh, clickbait, and all this type of stuff. It's not that, but like if you talk in a radio or podcast setting, or you write and you have the 4-letter word or the worldwide leader, right? ESPN. If that's in your story, if that's in your headline, if that's coming out of your mouth in a microphone, people like, ESPN, what? ESPN? And you can have all the types of opinions you want on ESPN. Personally, I think ESPN's programming is not very good, but it is the worldwide leader, and it has been the worldwide leader forever, and the ESPN is the standard. And I can enjoy their game coverage while not enjoying much of the programming like I did when I was a kid, right? But a lot of people have a lot of opinions about ESPN, but regardless, ESPN is the worldwide leader. So whenever somebody hears ESPN, like, what? Oh, we see that in the headline. Oh, I'm going to click on that, right? ESPN loves them some Tennessee right now. Tennessee is that team that ESPN is all about right now, and that's good. That's cool. But that's kind of why it's been interesting this week. I've been referencing ESPN so much because ESPN loves them some Volunteers. But here's the article that I'm referencing here from this show. It's a group of 5, it is college football assistant coaches that will be in, or a college football coaches that'll be next in line for big jobs. I know on my template here on YouTube, I say assistant coaches. That's not always the case. There's some group of 5 head coaches in here, so I do apologize. But the first one that comes to mind is the first one that's listed here is Barry Odom. We know who Barry Odom is, of course, longtime defensive coach in the power ranks and former head coach of Missouri. Barry Odom's been around this league, quite a bit, but of course he's at UNLV right now, and UNLV, the Rebs, they've been making headwaves, a ton of headlines this week, of course, and I don't really want to be in that conversation. We continue on with the group of 5 head coaches. Jamie Chadwell's listed on here. Of course, Jamie Chadwell has been in that conversation for quite some time. He was at Coastal for a while, went to Liberty. Liberty, of course, had a really, really good season last year. Jamie Chadwell from the Anderson County area of East Tennessee. So that's obviously kind of a connection there. Jeff Taylor, formerly of Austin P, I believe. Now he's at UTSA. I believe he was at Austin P. But nonetheless, of course, we know Jeff Taylor. He's a really, really good coach. He was on Tennessee's schedule a season ago. So Jeff Taylor's a guy, Jeff Traylor is a guy that, we've heard of quite some time. One other group of 5 head coach that's on here is Alex Golesh. And everybody's talking about Florida being a dumpster fire of this, and when is Billy Napier going to be fired that, and all this type of stuff. And we're sitting here, Okay, and Florida, due to its resources, due to its investment into its NIL collective, once everybody got on the same page, it's got a lot of resources down there to obviously to be really good. I mean, fact of the matter is, you should never be bad at Florida. You should never be bad at Florida State. You should never be bad at Miami. Sure, not all. I mean, those are the 3 state schools, and you can't get every single 5-star in the state there. They're going to choose but there are so many great prospects in the state of Florida, so it's absolutely just wild to me that Florida and Florida State and Miami can go through stretches where they're really bad. That should never ever happen. So Florida can make one call back of the brink, Chucks. You know they're going to go after Lane Kiffin. You know they're going to go after Lane Kiffin. I think Eli Drinkwitz will do anything he can to get away from Missouri, which I don't know why he'd want to. Boy, he's a dork. He's a weirdo, but he's a pretty good football coach, and he's got it made because there's absolutely no expectations at Missouri. Sure, you get paid a crap ton more. We all made the jokes last year that Eli Drinkwitz got a raise for winning 5 games the year before, and I mean, he had a really, really good year last year, but he had a raise going into last year, which made no sense. But you go to Florida and you take a significant pay raise. If you don't get it turned around in 3 years, you're out. But you know Eli Drinkwitz wants that job. You know they're going to do everything they can to get Lane Kiffin. They're going to have a pecking order here in Florida when the time comes to get rid of Billy Napier. But by golly, Alex Golesh better be on that list. Alex Golesh could be the guy to where, okay, you call this guy, you call this guy. Okay, we know that Alex Golesh will come here and be a head coach. It would be weird. It would be really weird if Alex Golesh accepted that job to be the head coach of Florida because, of course, he spent 2 years here with Tennessee. He spent all this time with Josh Heupel, but he's got it rolling down there in South Florida. This is what they have to say about Alex Golesh here. Golesh has stabilized an underachieving South Florida program in his first head coaching opportunity that could soon move up to a bigger job. The 40-year-old brings an appealing mix of exciting offense and pedal-down recruiting. He has worked in different regions of the country. Golesh lacks a clear signature win at USF, but his teams has competed with Alabama in each of the first 2 seasons, has pushed Miami in the first half last week. He should have also been helped by the blistering success of Heupel's offense, which he helped coordinate at both UCF and Tennessee before coming to South Florida. Golesh also spent time under Iowa State coach Matt Campbell and could be a fit both in the Southeast and the Midwest. Alex Golesh is going to be a head coach. Alex Golesh is going to be a head coach. It's going to be sooner rather than later. So those are the group of 5 jobs. This section here says worth keeping an eye on. Bob Chesney at James Madison, because why not what you did to North Carolina UNC the other day. Let's see here. Jeff Monken, we know that name for sure over there at Army. Thomas Hammock of Northern Illinois, they have a signature win this year. Names to watch from the power ranks. Georgia defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann. Penn State's offensive coordinator Andy Kodluki. Alabama defensive coordinator Kane Womack. He used to be the head coach of South Alabama, so he's got that experience. USC defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn. Nebraska Cornhuskers defensive coordinator Tony White. And then this section here is a subheading that says worth keeping an eye on. The first name in this worth keeping an eye on here is Tennessee defensive coordinator Tim Banks. Heupel's offense always grabs the attention of Tennessee, but more taking note of the Vols' growth on defense under Banks, especially how after the team won at Oklahoma, the Vols rose from 35th in scoring defense to 22 last year. They are number 5 through the first 4 games, leading the FBS in fewest yards allowed per game at 176. Banks, who is 52 years old, hasn't generated much buzz so far as a head coaching candidate, but brings coordinator experience from 4 schools and has worked extensively in the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic and Mid-South. He would be a great fit for an AAC or a MAC job, might rise even higher than that. Now, everybody's talking about that defense, knowing that he's the CEO of the defense there. An industry source said they're hot right now, and that is Tim Banks. So that's what they have to say about Tim Banks. Tim Banks was being heavily courted by Middle Tennessee State University last offseason. In fact, there were some reports that Tim Banks was going to take that job. They were not factual reports, but there were some reports. But MTSU really, really wanted Tim Banks last year. And so you're going to start seeing that when you have success, people are going to want to come and take, what your coaches that are attributing to those successes for sure. So Tim Banks coming up on this list, obviously a major Tennessee tie because he's Tennessee's defensive coordinator. Clemson OC Garrett Riley's on this list. Miami OC Shannon Dawson's on this list. Oregon OC Will Stein is on this list. Notre Dame DC Al Golden's on this list, so on and so forth. I'm just trying to see if there's any more Tennessee connection. And I don't believe there is. Nope, there is not. But the Jamie Chadwell, the Alex Golesh, the Tim Banks, potentially these guys could be head coaches at some point in the next little bit. And of course, if Tennessee's defense continues to play the way that it is and continues to shut down opposing offenses and make things difficult and play complementary football to Tennessee's offense, Tim Banks, no doubt, is going to be heavily courted once again this offseason, and Tennessee will have to back up that truck and if they want to keep him. And I think he's done a really, really good job here at the University of Tennessee. Okay, so when we come back, Boogie Bentley of the Talking Vols Network, he will join me, one of the little segments 2 and 3 that we like to call here on Locked On Vols. Locked On Talking Vols. That is coming up next. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial flavors of 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on Univested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth of any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by the Robinhood Gold LLC. So appreciate them as always. And want to tell you about our friends over at Home Field Apparel, the exclusive apparel sponsor of Locked On Vols. Football season is here. You can smell it. It feels like football season. The leaves are changing and soon to be falling. And if you're heading out to Neyland Stadium this fall, you got to be sure to be decked out in style, and you can do that thanks to Home Field Apparel. Can't miss 2024 kickoff special campaign. You can get boxes, coaches jackets, bomber jackets, and so much more. These football boxes contain 3 never-before-seen items for the University of Tennessee that are not available anywhere else. They're curated so that fans have new gear to wear all season long, suitable for all weather conditions. Okay, Platinum VIP boxes receive additional exclusive items such as a new hat or ring, VIP koozies. The Platinum Premium, the 2024 Platinum Pass guarantees 20% off early access to Tennessee football's releases through the 2024 season, so there's no more missing out on Home Field because it's sold out. So, Home Field is a premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis. Their focus is on creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with a vintage is that key word there, college design. Tennessee's vintage designs, incredible over at Home Field Apparel. So, go to homefieldapparel.com to get started today. That is homefieldapparel.com. homefieldapparel.com to get started today. Boogie, so far so good, man. 4-0, 2 ranked wins away from Neyland Stadium. Tennessee is, number 3 in ESPN's college football playoff predictions. Tennessee's number 2 in ESPN's, remaining unbeaten teams. Tennessee's number 1 in defensive efficiency. I mean, Tennessee's doing pretty well so far, right? I mean, this is where you want to be at the bye week, right?
Yeah, I mean, I take your phrase. I do that a lot. I steal what you say, and I need to put my stamp on it. Just pretend that I said it. But what you said, you can only play who's in front of you. I've said that more times this week than I care to admit. Like what more do you want? You're 4-0. The numbers are there, and it's like, well, we only played. We've not played anybody, right? That's been my theme this week. Let's keep moving the goalpost. NC State's not good. Oklahoma's not good. Okay, so you played some bad football teams, and you're still number 1 in the country in total defense. You're still second in the country in scoring offense. What more do you want? You're right where you need to be. Let's get healthy. Let's go on the road and beat Arkansas. Let's bring Florida to Neyland Stadium and put a beating on them, and then we can let everybody say, well, Arkansas is not a legit team. Florida's not the old Gators. Then when Alabama rolls into town, guess what? We're going to put a beating on them, and then we're going to talk about how Nick Saban's not there. So let's just keep winning and let them keep making excuses. Shout out Coach Jay. I like to steal what he says too.
You would agree, though, right? I mean, we won't know until season's end, but I've said this a couple of times. I don't know what Oklahoma's offense is going to turn into, but I think I said this on your show. I don't know. It might be the first place I said this. I don't know what offense Oklahoma's offense will turn into. I think they got a lot of issues over there, but I mean, I think that defense is pretty stout. I think it's pretty salty, and sure, Tennessee changed the way it went about things in the second half, but I think that going up against that type of defense is going to prepare, this offense for what it's going to see at points in times in the SEC and certainly against Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with people. Look, I'm an emotional fan just like everybody else, and live watching the game, I'm like, this is frustrating. Why are we so conservative? Why are we playing this? Then you go back and you rewatch, and it all makes sense. And then you see the clip floating around Twitter, right, where Heupel goes up to Nico and says, hey, we dialed it back a little bit because, the defense was playing so good. Heck of a job out there tonight. Like, we have not seen what this offense can truly be yet. We've not seen it. Probably the closest look at it was NC State, and that's when, Nico made a couple of mistakes. He threw a couple of picks, but he responded, right? He threw those picks. They go right down the field after the turnovers, and they put points on the board. Oklahoma, I think after this game, when I went back and did the rewatch, and then I could see the all-22 view, watching Aaron Murray kind of break it down, their defense is better than I even thought it was. Like their secondary, their corners, they just put them on an island, man. Their safeties played downhill against the run.
Yeah.
Shoo, they're a good defense. They are a good defense. Yes, they're not very good on offense, but Tennessee did what they were supposed to do. They went on the road in the SEC. They got that win versus a top 15 team that they've not done since, 2006? Guess what? Oklahoma's not lost a game like that since 2016. So do what you're supposed to do. That's what we're doing. Get healthy on the bye week, and let's keep doing it, man. Keep winning.
Those safeties for Oklahoma came so far downhill that all it's going to take is a simple play action. They're going to get toast, man. I mean, it was the dart to Thornton over the middle, which went right over the safety. And I mean, they play aggressive and everything, but they need to stay at home. Those safeties, just my opinion, for Oklahoma, or they're going to get thrown over the top. Speaking of throwing over the middle, Nico on the season over the middle. Remember the middle of the field? Wasn't utilized by Tennessee's offense last year in the middle of the field. Couldn't do it because Joe wasn't comfortable or whatever. Nico over the middle of the field in 4 games, 33 for 41, 498 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. So
I think
that's not bad, is it?
We're seeing what this offense can truly be. And then, I've seen somebody brought this up on our show Wednesday night, and I think I saw either the VolQuest mailbag. Somebody on VolQuest was talking about it, and everybody's concerned that Squirrel's not putting up enough numbers. Is he being overshadowed? What's going on? Nico shares the wealth, man. Nico throws it around Thornton, 7 catches. Brew McCoy, 12. Chris Brazell, 11. Squirrel, 8. And then let's get your tight ends involved. 6 to Stace, 4 to Kitzelman. Ethan Davis has 5 receptions. Caleb Webb has some. Everybody's getting some love, man. So I don't think you don't need that Jalen Hyatt type season like you had to have in 2022. I think we've not even scratched the surface of what this offense can be, and everybody's worried about it coming out of the Oklahoma game. We didn't score enough. We're inefficient in the red zone, this, that, and the other. Boys, buckle up. I told you in 2022 to enjoy the ride. This year's going to be better. We're just scratching the surface, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's one football. That's the thing about being a fan, right? I mean, you love everybody, and you love their recruiting, and they're so good. And there's one football, right? Like, there's one football, and Tennessee's got like 6 receivers that you want to play. I mean, I saw something on Twitter the other day saying like there's a clear void at number 3 for Tennessee. And I don't know who said that. I'm not just trying to make fun of it, but it got me thinking. It's like, well, clear void. I wouldn't phrase it that way, but to the poster's point, you got Brew and Squirrel. And then it's like, well, who's that number 3 receiver? Is it Brazel? Is it Thornton? Is it Matthews? Is it, who is it, right? It's been Dante Thornton. It's been a rotation. And I think that can be a great strength for Nico and for this team where Brew and Squirrel are going to be out there and get their snaps. But we've seen Brazel start a couple of games. We've seen Thornton come up big. He's the big play receiver. We saw Mike Matthews go off against Kent State. I mean, Chaz Nimrod got to start out there. All those guys you just mentioned, I mean, it's pretty remarkable how many guys Tennessee's playing. Let's think about this. Tennessee's playing a ton at receiver this year. Tennessee's playing 4 to 5 players at safety this year. Who is this football team, right?
I love it, man. I love it. We talk about depth, right? And the whole story in the offseason was how deep we were on the defensive line. But we are deep everywhere. The offensive line is obviously still your big question mark, and that plays into the Oklahoma situation and dialing it back. Yeah, we were living on the defense. We also saw our golden quarterback, our golden arm, our golden goose. We saw him get annihilated a couple of times. Everybody's talking about the field conditions, so I think there's maybe more to it than just living on the defense. It's like survive, get out of here with a win. You can do that. If I told you going into the season, we're going to go on the road against Oklahoma and we're going to win by 10, we're going to live on the defense. You sign me up every single day for that. So it is what it is. But, man, we're deep everywhere. And I think you're going to see that start to benefit us down the road, right, when some of these teams are going through the gauntlet of the SEC and Tennessee's out there fresh, man. Like James Pierce. Look at that defensive line. It's comical. I think you brought it up on my show, Jason Jenkins. How many plays did you say he was in on?
Pro Football Focus had him at 7 on Monday. I think it was only 5.
So we're coming out of the game talking about what a baller Jason Jenkins is, and he played 5 snaps?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's – for how many years did we sit here and go, man, if we could just close the talent gap between the Georgias and the Alabamas? And it's like, well, what does that really mean? It means this, what we're seeing now. And we're not there yet. We're close. We are close. I think another good class of 25, maybe a class of 26, that's when the talent gap could possibly finally be closed.
I'm over here on Pro Football Focus. I'm trying to confirm that for sure. Jenkins. I can't find him. Oh, you know why I can't find him? Because I'm looking at Oklahoma's roster. That would do it. Jenkins. Oh, this is great for podcasting.
Yeah, I'm just going to let you sit here and sink. I'm not going to talk and take over.
Yeah, let me sink. I deserve 5 snaps. 5 snaps. Literally 5 snaps. Goodness gracious!
And what were his notes? He had 5 snaps. Now let me do it. Now let me sink the ship. He had 5 snaps, and how many TFLs did he have?
I'm gonna let you find it.
Now
it's not fun, is it? It's not fun.
I'm sinking the ship. He had 2 tackles, half a sack, and a tackle and a half for loss. That's making plays, man. That's capitalizing on minimal opportunities.
And the thing about his safety. It's a complete bust on the credit where credit's due, good for him, but like complete bust by the offensive line for Oklahoma. Nobody blocked him. Nobody blocked him. You had the guard that blocked down, the tackle blocked out. Jason Jenkins went right through that C gap and said, all right, here I am. Let's go down. It's just, oh man. But yeah, like he was a guy that balled out in that game, and there's so many different guys that continue to step up for this Tennessee team. I want to hit on what you just said a moment about Tennessee reaching its full potential and all that type of stuff. We got a whole nother segment with Boogie Bentley coming up here on a Friday edition of Locked On Vols, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season off big with a return over at FanDuel Sportsbook. It is America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a football game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place all your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Again, one more time, that is $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That is only at FanDuel Sportsbook.com or FanDuel.com over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Tennessee's off this weekend, but you got the NFL Sunday slates. Tennessee Titans, stay away. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from the Tennessee Titans. But just so many different options with NASCAR and night racing this weekend. You've got golf and so many other options so you can put some coin in your pocket. So college football obviously still going on, even though Tennessee's not playing. But get all that and more. It's over at FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel.com, it is America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, it's where you can make every moment more. All right, Boogie Bentley, we like to call this segment the show Locked On Talking Vols. We do it every single Friday here during football season. Of course, I go on your show on Monday morning, so we're having a blast 4 games into the season. Reset the topic or the last little thing that you said there before we went off talking about Jason Jenkins, about Tennessee, hitting its stride, essentially, Tennessee reaching its potential.
I mean, I think you look defensively. I think they're right where they need to be. Right, defensively, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're going out, you're dominating week in, week out. Offensively, I just don't think we've seen them truly scratch the surface of what they can be. I think we've seen a little bit of flashes, right? Especially that Chattanooga game, but it's Chattanooga, right? I think we've seen a little flash of what Nico can do. But when has he had to do it? Like we've not had to say, hey, Go out there and let's take over a game, go win us a football game. It's like Oklahoma was going to be the shot. It was going to be the opportunity. And the way the game played out, you just didn't really have that opportunity to put the game on Nico's shoulders. Does that mean he's not capable? No. I mean, you got the bye week to get healthy. I think that is critical. Getting Lance Hurd back, getting John Campbell healthy, whatever that means for John Campbell. But look how different the offense looks with your two starting tackles out there. And I think that's what frustrates me with certain people in the media that want to say, oh, it was a quarterbackless Oklahoma team. Well, that's weird because I hear you talking about how good Oklahoma's defensive line is, and you don't start that off by saying, oh, by the way, Tennessee's third-string offensive tackle was out there. No, you don't do that. That's what drives me nuts.
It's kind of hard to. It's kind of weird to phrase it like this. It's the third and fourth offensive tackle. The next two up essentially, because like I said the same thing earlier this week. I'm like, well, technically that's not right because like they're not third string, but they're the third and fourth options. Your guys weren't out there at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. But I think I want to see Nico go be Nico. I think so many people are still questioning whether Nico is the guy or a certain he's not an ex-quarterback, former Vol quarterback said that Josh Heupel doesn't trust Nico. I think that couldn't be further from the actual truth of the trust that this coaching staff has in Nico. I think the playbook is open. I think we've already seen it, right, with the 12 personnel and just you bringing up the middle of the field. This playbook is open, but I just want to see Nico. I want to see Nico go out against an SEC team and prove who he is, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter because if he does it against Arkansas, well, they're not very good. If he does it against Florida, well, they're not very good. It does again. Just keep winning, and y'all keep making excuses.
Yeah, Nico at some point this season is gonna put the team on his back and win a football game, whether that be just from start to finish, wire to wire, he's dominant, or that means second half, fourth quarter, comeback drive, putting the game away, whatever the case is. Those will come, but I mean, again, the 4 games you played, you've not played a really respectable offense to date, and so the defense has kind of had its way. And that's not the only reason the defense is got good stats right now, but the defense has had its way in the offense. Like I was doing a radio hit earlier this week, and the host was like, Kaner, Tennessee ran it this amount of times, threw it this amount of times in this game, ran it this amount of times, and threw it this amount. Is it because Tennessee can't or doesn't have confidence in throwing the football, or it's because they can choose what they want to do in these games? I said they can absolutely choose what they want to do. Like they 100% chose to take the foot off the pedal a little bit offensively in the second half against Oklahoma. 100%. Anybody watching that football game that knows anything about football could see something was different in the second half. And even going back to the second quarter on that last drive where they just ran it with Sampson. But it's 100% because Tennessee chose to do that, because Tennessee could do that, because the game was at hand in the way your defense is playing. So I think the Tennessee defense has been even better than I thought it would be, certainly. I still have questions about the secondary. I still do. I think the corners are good. I'm intrigued to see how these safeties play whenever you get somebody that's going to stretch the field vertically. But so far, so good, and I think they've done a really, really good job. And Tennessee continues to be in that conversation, not just college football playoff conversation, but again, I referenced this earlier. ESPN's got them number 2 or number 3 in their college football playoff rankings after week 4. I mean, Tennessee's getting some hype. Joel Klatt, Colin Coward the other day said Tennessee's going to be his national champion. I mean, Tennessee's getting some real fire behind it right now. It's kind of weird to see, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the difference between you're a college football playoff contender versus I think this is my pick to go win the national championship. Right? And I think people are taking notice of the defense and the whole conversation we're having right now about, well, Tennessee doesn't have to go out there and throw it around. That's the difference between this team and 2022. 2022, you weren't going to win many games like you won against Oklahoma. You weren't. You had to go out and score 50 points a game because your defense just wasn't elite. And that's why Josh Heupel has preached it and preached it and preached it. We're going to play elite defense. And the quote didn't hit as hard last year when he said it, right? It's the exact same quote, Kaner, exact same quote. This is how Homer Reggie White, Eric Berry, Al Wilson. Same quote last year. Didn't get any run. I've been playing it on the intro of my show for a year, and nobody talked about it. But when you're playing elite defense, it's like, oh, he's serious. That wasn't just him talking. He's serious. But look what they've added, man. Look what we know Rodney Garner can recruit. We know that, and you're seeing that with the depth. But the linebacker room, Keenan Peely was huge in the portal. Huge. Arian Carter, what a recruit. Jeremiah Thielander. And you got some young ones, man. I think Jalen Smith has the potential to be a really good linebacker.
I'm
Edwin
with you,
Stillman.
man. I said it last year, so like they redshirted him, but like whenever you got to Vanderbilt, like once you reach that threshold of where like, okay, his red shirt's intact, you can go play now, and then of course in the bowl game, like on kickoff, he was making plays. On defense, he was making plays. I'm like, this dude's like got that nose for the football, and then you never want to see anybody get hurt or miss an opportunity, but like Caleb Perry missed the NC State game because he was sick. Jalen Smith comes in there, takes advantage. Jalen Smith has passed him right now, and I'm happy for Jalen Smith.
That's a stacked. You're starting to see the linebacker room kind of resemble that defensive line unit.
And
right?
wide receiver, it's
deep.
one of those like,
Yep.
hey, can't miss a day.
You got to get that depth at corner. You got to get that depth at safety. You got to get that depth on the offensive line. I would have said running back before the season. DeSean Bishop, he said, oh, really, Boogie Bentley? You going to sit there in your App State hat and you going to make fun of me? Watch this. Dude, who in the world thought he was going to go out and just take advantage of Cam Seldon's situation? And now it's like, good luck, Cam Seldon. Good luck getting your spot back, because DeSean Bishop, man, he was impressive against Oklahoma, but he impresses week in and week out.
I know you are a busy man. You got to go make a lot more of the monies that I'm making here. So I'm going to try to be brief about this on the way out. But man, Deshawn, like I remember, like okay, I've covered Deshawn, like Carnes. I've seen him play for years, and I don't know him, but I mean I know his personality. I mean, he's a confident guy. He's always been confident, right? I mean, obviously. But I remember, after his injury this past spring, I remember talking with somebody. I'm just like, man, I wish Deshawn would just go somewhere and play, man, because he's good enough to play, but I just don't see it here. And that person told me, like, hey, he saw Dylan Sampson, he saw Dylan Sampson getting serious run as the number 3 running back last year. He's betting on himself to stay here, and he wants to prove that he can play here. I'm like, okay, well, that makes some sense. And lo and behold, he continues to get these opportunities, and then boom, look where he is now. I am so happy for him. He can stay here and get a lot of run, no pun intended, in the next couple of years. If something were to happen, and again, like people will take this and run with it, like I said something about Heupel the other day, which fans are going to fan and be crazy and stupid sometimes.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it's what we do. But like if something were to happen, he's got some serious tape now to where he can go like, hey, look what I did here at the University of Tennessee. I'm so happy for him, man. He's killing it, dude, and he's been a surprise. But like he's smart, like his vision's good, he's patient, and his speed is underrated. I don't think he's a burner, but I think his speed is underrated for sure. He's been great, and I'm with you, man. Cam Seldon, I think you're going to be great. Can't wait to see a play. But right now, this is DeSean Bishop and Dylan Sampson.
And that's huge. Like think if DeSean Bishop wasn't that guy, and then Cam Seldon's banged up. You gonna lean on Khalifa Keith and Peyton Lewis as a true freshman? And that's the thing about Bishop too, is pass protection. Like that, everything you said, I agree. Like his patience, man, he's a great runner, but pass protection as a young running back, just a great addition to this football team. And look, we are fans, and fans, look, we speculate, we talk, we have doubts. Everybody, look, meeting Callie's parents at the Orange and White game was great. Like, they understand that we're fans, and it's well, I'm not sure that McAllen Castles is going to be the guy, but then when he comes in and is, you don't think that makes me happy. And then Will Brooks, everybody likes to give me. By the way, Jacoby Thomas, baller. Go ahead and put him in there starting.
He's a baller, yeah.
But Will Brooks, man, I love seeing that for that kid. Like Dane Davis, I hate it, man. Dane Davis, right down the road from me, local East Tennessee kid. And you said it Monday, he had a bad day at the office. But guess what? Dane Davis is still a VFL. He still gives you some depth on this offensive line. His versatility is important. We're going to need Dane Davis.
And he's, that's a good mindset to have. Like, you can be mad at him for that one game, but I got news for you. He's still that number 3 offensive tackle, so.
And there's going to be games where he's in there. We're going to need Dane Davis.
He will play every game because John Campbell can't make it. I mean, Dane will play every game. So it's like you can be frustrated. Like I'm sure he's frustrated with himself, but like he ain't going anywhere. So it's like,
you don't think Dane Davis is more frustrated with himself than we as a fan are? Like we wake up the next day, it's a dub, we're happy, we move on. He's sitting in the film room watching it with his brothers, and he's like, I got to be better. I've got to be better.
Having to relive it. Oh, that's the worst part about football. It's like not only did you have a bad game, but you won. Everybody's like excited, but you're kind of down in the dumps, and it's like, oh my God, Monday morning I have to relive again. Oh my gosh.
All over again in front of everybody.
Boogie, out the door, man. Tell us your plan, your bye week plan. No game tomorrow, but you Still going to have a Friday morning show, I would assume. So after you listen to this, go on over and check out Boogie and the boys. But what do you got coming up this weekend? Of course, leading into next week's Arkansas game.
You would assume wrong. No Friday morning show because
lazy. It's a bye week for Boogie too.
Hey, it is. We don't do any work around here. No, the reason is Coach Jay is who I do the Friday morning show with. Most of you all know he's a D3 analyst in the college football world, and they need him up in the box. So he's going to be up in the box this week, actually coaching little X's and O's, giving some feedback. So I'm excited for him, man. I hope the day comes where Coach Jay is limited on the Talking Vols network because he has worked his way up. He loves coaching ball. He loves teaching ball. He loves working with those kids. So I'm excited for him to get that opportunity. I know he's fired up. He's excited. So because of that, no Friday morning show. We'll be making videos every day. We'll be back on Sunday night for Talking Vols Live, the fan call-in show. That's where you guys, the audience, get to come on and say whatever you want. Kana, can you imagine VolQuest sitting down, you guys all in your four little windows, Rob's in his recliner rocking, Grant Ramey's got that beautiful backdrop, AP's sitting there with that big grin on his face, probably got his Christmas tree up by now, and y'all just saying everybody on the GQ can come on and hang out?
That's terrifying.
Sign me up for that. That would be the most epic show ever. So that's what we're going to do. We'll be back Sunday night, 7 p.m., but videos coming all throughout the week.
Even in the digital world that we live in, that is absolutely terrifying. I want you to stay behind your handle. Stay behind your handle. Boogie, as always, man, have a blast. Appreciate it, and we'll talk Monday morning, all right?
All right, appreciate it, brother.
Always a great time catching out with Boogie Bentley of the Talking Vols Network every single Friday morning right here on Locked On Vols. It's been a fun Friday show. We got through the bye week, everybody, so congratulations. Next week, we'll start turning all of our attention towards Arkansas, the prep for the Razorbacks, another road game for the University of Tennessee as Tennessee looks to improve to 5-0 on the young season. So a lot of Arkansas prep coming up next week. We'll have some guests on to preview all that. Enjoy this weekend. Sit back, watch football, hang out, have a couple brewskis, little Teddy brewskis, and enjoy a football weekend where there's no stress of watching your favorite team. I know that stinks in one regard, but also it's fun in another regard because you don't have to stress and all that good stuff. So hope you guys enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch. Check out Locked On SEC when you're done here. Make that your second listen, your second watch. Tell your friends about this show. Hey, it's your number one spot for Tennessee football news and notes and a little bit of entertainment every single weekday morning when you wake up. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. We'll talk Monday. This is Locked On Vols.